Praise God. I hope you're having a blessed day today. Let's get back into our next devotion here. And as we're getting into this today, I just pray that you're having a blessed day and the Lord has helped you and encouraged you today. And I want to encourage you even more. Some of the stuff I talk about today may be kind of a little gloomy at times because I'm following up on previous devotion here. And I was talking about our election that was coming up and how that one of the issues, the main issues that people are voting on today, I would say the top 3 or 4 issues is crime. And I was talking about how the crime and the violence has just gotten so out of hand in so many parts of our country. We have so much lawlessness. I want to talk about that a little bit today. The lawlessness of our nation, where laws are made, but it's like they're made, but they're not followed. It's like it's no big deal. And there's never going to be, lack of a better word, there's never going to be a turnaround in what we're seeing in this nation unless there's some real consequences for those that break the law. Or let's say those that do violence. Let's just put it that way. Now the word violence, now it says in the book of Genesis that in Noah's day that the earth was filled with violence. This is one of the reasons that God destroyed the earth. That man on the earth, that the earth was filled with violence. And man had become so violent. And so when you're looking at that, and then Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be prior to the coming of the Son of Man. And so we're seeing that violence, is ticking upward and upward and upward more and more. The violence that goes along, and people say, well, why don't we just stop all the violence? Why don't we stop it all? Well, that would be great if we could stop it all. And you say, we can't. All we got to do is get in there and meet, more policemen and more this and more this. Well, I do agree that we need to have more policemen, especially in the big cities. There needs to be a push for more policemen, and not only for more policemen, but there needs to be a real genuine backing of the police. When the police are going into violent areas that's filled with violent crime, the people of that area especially have got to back them up. And then the people on the news media have got to back them up. The news media is as much as fault for some of these things about the police being criticized as anybody else. The news media will just down and down and down the police sometimes to the point where it's like all of them, they're trying to present the angle that all of them are bad. And that's not true at all. We know that if you've got a large group of anything, you've got a few bad apples. That's just with the military, policemen, preachers, whatever you've got there. You've always got a few teachers, whatever, bad apples that are going to do things that are not right. But then you got all the other people that get lumped in with them. And that's why we have to remove the bad apples out of the group so all the other people can do their job without being hindered by the ones that are bad. Paul spoke of that in the New Testament a little bit about that. A little bit of bad can cause everything to become bad. So you have to get the bad out. A little leaven can leaven the whole group, so to speak. Got to get the bad out. Got one bad apple in there, get the bad apple out of there. Now, when we look at our cities and what's going on, and people are going to be voting on this, like I said, in a couple of weeks, the November the 8th, the vote will go in, and the very important election coming up and so forth, with all sorts of people that's up on the ballot and so forth. It's not a presidential election, but senators, governors, representatives, county officials, school boards. Very, very important election. I encourage people to get out and vote. You need to get out there and vote and not put it off. But saying that, with the situation with the violence, if there's no deterrent to crime, there's no deterrent out there. When these cities have adopted different means, I've seen it recently in the state of Illinois, where they're talking about, a person gets arrested, and for so many things they get arrested for, they basically don't even have to post a bail. It's a cashless bail. And you just let out a person on their own good free will that's committed a crime, or especially a bad crime or something such as this. I guess no crime is good, but then what we call a violent crime. And it's astonishing how many people commit violent crime and they're not in jail no time at all before they turn right around and out of jail. I mean, how many times have we seen in recent months the people that have committed violent acts on our streets and violent acts in our cities have been people that did not serve out near the time they were supposed to. They're repeat offenders. They were already in prison. They got let out early, or they were out on bail or something such as this, and they're out on the street and they go and do the same thing all over again. And you're like, well, if this person would have been, one of the things that comes to mind is the lady that was jogging in Tennessee. You remember, I think it might have been in Nashville, but she was in a city there in Tennessee, and early in the morning, and the man stalked her. He killed her, threw her out behind a house, an abandoned house or whatever, and just killed her in cold blood. But they were saying that this man, if he would have actually served out the sentence that he was in jail for, that he would have been in jail and he wouldn't have been out there on the street, and he would not have killed that person. All of these things really make you think, and you say, well, why do we do and why do we treat things the way we do? Lord knows we want to give people a second chance. It's not like we want to lock people up, throw away the key. Goodness, we want people that's committed acts of violence, criminal acts. We want them to have a chance to be reformed and to be able to come out and function in society again. But not until they've served their time and their sentence. There has to be a real consequence for the crime. And so in the Old Testament, people looked at the Ten Commandments and other laws of Moses, what we call the Law of Moses, the Ten Commandments, and so forth. And if those commandments, when they were broken, there was consequences to breaking those commandments. When God says, "Thou shalt not murder," when somebody was not only accused but convicted of murder, it had to be by 2 or 3 witnesses. It couldn't be by one witness because one person can say anything. But if you went through and more than one witness said, yes, that is the man, that is the person that done this, then if a person murdered someone else, then the punishment for that was that they lost their life. They would lose their life, and an execution would take place because they had committed a violent crime, and there was consequences for the violent crime after it had been determined that, yes, they had legitimately committed this. It wasn't an accident. There was ways. God put a way in there in the cities of refuge that if somebody accidentally killed another person, they could go to the city of refuge and they could dwell there in the city of refuge and not be harmed by anybody. But there was real punishment for things. When laws were broken, there was punishment there. And when I think about all the people that are in our jail system and so forth, that are in there for violent acts. When I say violent acts, I'm talking about murder, attempted murder, rape, and things such as this, violent assault. All of these things, if there's no consequence, then people can just go on and do it, and they're out again. It comes to my mind how that, it's been over a year ago now. It's been maybe 2 years ago now. That the guy up in Chicago, it seems like a lot of stuff happens in Chicago. The Jesse Smollett whole situation with him, where he hired 2 guys to come and beat him up, and he went on television and said they had "Make America Great" hats on. They were Trump supporters. They beat me up. It was all racist, and they did this and did this and this. And then it come out. His whole story fell apart. He had paid the guys to do it. He had hired the guys to do it. They even had the council check where he paid the guys. But then he went to court. Well, at first they weren't even going to charge him. They finally did charge him, and he didn't basically serve no time whatsoever. Tried to convince the judge and the jury that he did not do it. That he was innocent of everything, even though they had everything right there against him. And so he got off basically by paying a fine, paying some money. He got off, and there was nothing done. And I'm telling you what, if that thing hadn't been uncovered as quick as it has, that could have been riots. There could have been violence all over America. He could have caused. Not only did he cause a lot of damage to the police department because they spent all kinds of money doing the investigations and all of that, but it was just no consequence to it. It was as if, okay, here's a guy who's got some money. He's going to get out, and for whatever reason, we're going to get him out. And a lot of it, they said, was racist. It was a whole racist thing and all of that was done, and so forth. And basically, it was like, hey, he gets off, and nothing's going to happen. You can't do that. Justice is supposed to be blind, and it's supposed to be a white man, black man, whoever commits a crime, male, female, whoever it is, that they are liable for what they do, and they have to be punished for what they do. And if it's a rich man, he gets punished for what he does. A poor man or whatever. Recently, I think it was Nancy Pelosi's husband, got in a bad accident, and with another man and all this. He was drunk and all of those things, and basically when he went to court, he had a slap on the wrist, no consequence whatsoever, and it just shows people, if you got some money, you can get out of just about anything, and that's not the way. Thank God, that's not the way God's kingdom works. And I'm gonna tell you, if people think they're getting away with stuff today, whether it's a leader of a nation, whether it's somebody in the inner cities, or whoever it is, our politicians, whoever it is doing the evil, friends, I want to tell you what, God keeps really good records. He keeps great records. And so if you think that you're getting away with something, or if anybody thinks that, oh, I got off with that, I paid $1 million to a slick attorney and he got me off, and now I don't have to serve, any crime for the person I killed or had killed, or the drugs I done, or the conspiracies I done, whatever it is, I got off. Well, I'm going to tell you what, there's an account that has not been cleared yet, and it's in heaven, and God's got really good books. And God is keeping account of all these politicians that are committing crimes and doing evil, the things we see, and we'll say, well, they'll never get punished for it. They'll never get punished for it. Friends, I'm going to tell you what, there is a real punishment that may not happen on this earth, but it will happen one day. And when it happens, friends, it will be real. It will be real. I know it's a violent day. I know, and I encourage people, get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. Elect leaders that say, yes, we're going to start holding people accountable for what they're doing. And we're going to start, punishing people for the crimes they commit. Hey, we need leaders that'll step up to the bat, so to speak, and say, yes, we will hold, these people accountable for the crimes they have committed. I think that's all people want. It's not that people are wanting to go head hunting or something like that, but people just want to see people. I think people want to see people accountable for what they done, and take it from there. If you deserve a sentence of 1 week or life, whatever it is, just hold people accountable. And I think if that happened, I think people would be a little more encouraged if they saw that actually happening. But when they don't see that happening, they see things plea bargained to the point where, hey, a person that committed a violent act upon another one, they get out with little to no punishment whatsoever. That's what discourages people. That's what I think people are so tired of. And then you add to all of that, and I've said it before, the godlessness in our nation. No God. We're godless. And when you take God out of the inner cities and God out of them, and you destroy the nuclear family, you destroy the fathers in the homes, and you take fathers out of the homes, it has been shown over and over and over again that crime increases exponentially when a father is not in the home. You look for the numbers; they're right there, and boy, they are staggering. If the father's in the home, it goes way, way down. If the father's not in the home and not part of the child's life, it goes way, way up. It is unmistakable. It is unmistakable. And so, yes, we've got to get back to God, put the nuclear family back together again. These things have to be done if we're going to see crime start going back the other way. Yes. God bless you. I hope you enjoyed this. Share it with someone. Please like it. I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed week.